What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Mike Falappi YouTube channel. And today we're going to be taking a look at some more tools. I don't know if you want to call it a toolbox tour or tool tour, whatever, of probably the first tools that I ever used when I started learning, how to take stuff apart, how to put it back together. Not necessarily cars, not necessarily lawnmowers, but like just maybe putting a chair together, or I don't know, when I used to sneak in and steal some screwdrivers to take my toys apart as a kid. Yeah, that's right. I'm going to be touring some of the tools in my late father's collection that, I've inherited, but it's all stuff that I haven't, taken to Honda or taken out to the shop to work on cars and stuff that there's no room for it in my apartment. So it's kind of just stayed where it's at. And then someday I'll assimilate it into my collection if I have a bigger shop or somewhere. I'd love to get like an old Craftsman box and lay his stuff out the way that I think it would have been, should have been laid out. But I'll show you some reasons why he has stuff the way he had it, and some of the reasons why I made some of his stuff the way it is now, and all that. But anyway, it's going to be a good video. If you're into vintage Craftsman, stick around. And yeah, let's get into it. What you see behind me, the white thing, is the gate. We've got a toolbox in the shop, and we'll do a little bit about that. Let's do it. What we have going on under the hood here is the stock. What we're going to do, what's going on, guys? Welcome back. What's going on, guys? Welcome back. Anyway, like I said, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Like I said, guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Mike, and if you're new here, why don't you just go ahead and subscribe. We do a lot of cool stuff with tools, cars, looking at stuff, trying things out, exploring abandoned stuff, whatever I feel like making a video about, basically. And yeah, today is one of those tool videos. Like I said, we're looking at my father's stuff, and I guess I should give you some background on him, what he did, why he did it, before we go and take a look at what he has. First of all, my father was not a mechanic like me. My father went to college. He was an engineer. He went to college for mining engineering and did that for a little bit, but ultimately ended up doing civil engineering, and for lack of a better term on what he did, he basically was in charge of supervising government construction projects. He did a little bit of design and stuff, but mainly it was making sure the stuff was carried out the way that it was designed. So he did that. So he wasn't really hands-on in his daily job. However, my grandfather was in construction. He was in, various different things, and he ended up, his main job he did for the majority of his career was he was an aircraft instrumentation mechanic. So he had a lot of tools. He was also big into doing carpentry, I don't know, either as a hobby or to help people out. I know he made furniture for different people in a family. He also helped build his own house when he was, 19 or 20 years old, I think. Somewhere around there. He built a house. His mother had gotten divorced from his dad, my great-grandparents. So he built them their house that they lived in, the house my dad grew up in, and my house that my grandmother still lives in today. But obviously my grandfather's no longer with us. But he taught my dad a lot about how to do stuff himself. And, my dad grew up in the 60s and the 70s. So, back then it was still a lot less than today. People didn't call someone else to do as much. I mean, my dad did oil changes and brakes and stuff on his own cars up into the early 2000s until things started to get computerized. And I know if my dad were still here today, he definitely would not be working on his own cars anymore. I get paid to do it, and I think there's way too many computers and systems and stuff. But anyway, growing up, anything my dad could do himself, whether it was fixing a toilet, putting a faucet in, painting, whatever. If he could do it himself, did himself, didn't call plumbers, electricians. Even when he had roofers come in, he got up on the roof with the roofers to make sure they were doing what they said they would do. And that was the kind of guy he was. He liked to be involved and stuff. So he amassed a lot of tools, mechanical tools, construction tools, and a lot of stuff. Basically, he would rather spend $10 or whatever to buy the tool, have it, know how to do it, and to be able to do it next time than have to worry about calling whoever to do whatever. So that's why he has the tools he had. And then growing up, he taught me a lot of those things. And one of the main things I took away from him was basically how to do things myself, for the most part when I can, and also how to save money. And that's one of the few things from him that I actually took to heart. I mean, he was a good guy. He didn't smoke, he didn't drink. Up until when he got sick, he went to church more or less every week. And those are some things that I have not carried on as well. But I did learn how to use tools and how to save money when I can. Like I said, unfortunately, he passed away in 2022. It'll be 2 years on September 30th. And my mother is in her 60s and is not using tools. So I inherited all his stuff. Unfortunately, like I said, I live in an apartment. The shop I use to do for YouTube's only so big, and a lot of his stuff is stuff that does not really fit in with what I'm doing at Honda. So it's good tools. I use some of them when I go and fix stuff at my mother's house, but other than that, a lot of that stuff just sits around. So I'm going to show you what he has. I'll take you and show you his setup, and then I might have to pull some stuff outside to show you, because, you know, there's not a lot of room down there, and I'm not going to show you too much, but I'll show you his setup and why he did things the way he did. And then, yeah, I think it'll be cool. So let's get into it, guys. My dad's toolbox, if you want to call it that. It's like one of them plastic storage pantries. You know, like I said, he wasn't a mechanic, so he didn't have a big toolbox. He never probably heard the word snap-on or had to deal with it in his life. He was big into Sears Craftsman for the warranty up until the dying days of Sears Craftsman. And a lot of the stuff in here is Craftsman, Lowe's, not even all that much Home Depot, because, you know, Lowe's was closest to us, so that's where he went. But yeah, I'll open this up and show you a little bit, and then I'll pull out the stuff that's most important in here. But as you can see, it's really kind of gone to disarray in here for me over the years, just pulling out what I needed to use at any given time, and just, you know, not worrying about the rest of this stuff. But yeah, other than that, I'll pull the stuff out of here that's worth showing you guys. Probably take it upstairs and we'll, you know, out to the truck and we'll look at it. But yeah, so this is what he had. As you can see, this is not the way that it was when he was down here. In fact, he didn't even really have a setup. As you can see, he liked blow molded cases. These toolboxes here, I reorganized later. And then down here, I don't even know what's in all these bags. So we're going to find out together what's in all these bags. But yeah, I don't even know if there's I don't even know why we have this. Like stuff like this. That's a dual purpose part of this. Is going through all this stuff. I'm going to throw out the stuff that's not worth anything anymore. So anyway, yeah. This is his tool set. I'll take you out and show you what's in each of these toolboxes. Also, I'll show you this here real quick. This is one of my toolboxes now. As you can see, this is Mike Falappi on top. But if you look at the side, you'll see this badass US Air MD-80 sticker. I've been looking for one of these for my toolbox at the Honda dealer, just so I could put that on there. But as I said, my grandfather was a, you know, instrumentation mechanic, and this was his toolbox that he used when he was at work. He kept all his tools in here for going up in a cockpit and changing the vacuum gauges and stuff. At some point, he gave this to my dad. My dad never used it for anything. So when I started collecting tools, this was my first toolbox. I've done an in-depth tour on everything in here, but this is more just a lot of specialty stuff. If I open up the top bottom, you'll see there's a lot of more homeowner construction, handyman kind of stuff. So these are tools that I don't use, because 90% of the stuff I do anymore is less of that and more mechanical, because, you know, I live in an apartment. I don't own a house. So this stuff's kind of just in dry storage. So like I said, someday if I get a shop to take it to. But yeah, old Powercraft toolbox. My grandfather, William Falappi, was instrumentation mechanic. My dad, William Michael Falappi, was an engineer, did stuff on himself. And myself, Michael William Falappi, I'm now a mechanic with Honda. And then I also do my small engine stuff on the side and whatever I get myself into. But anyway, like I said, that's enough of me. I did take an in-depth video of this toolbox. I might put it out, this and all my other homeowner stuff, one of these days. But yeah, I thought it was cool that you saw this with the MD80 sticker and all that. So yeah, let's get into it, guys. As you can see, I filled the bed of the truck up with quite a bit of stuff, and some of these weren't even down in the full storage. We're going to start with this cardboard box here. And actually, that cardboard box here starts with a story out of this toolbox. These channel lock pliers here, these are actually original Craftsman's, if you could see. These were pretty much my dad's favorite tool for everything. If he couldn't tighten it with this, well, I guess you'd have to call somebody else up, because he tightened on hoses down. Basically, if he could get this on a bolt or whatever, he would use this. Well, I started using them too, and I lost them, and I know he wasn't too happy about it. So he went to Lowe's and bought these channel lock 420s, also made in the great United States of America. And then, I don't know, maybe about a year after he bought these, he ended up finding these again. So he now had two. But anyway, this box here is a box of tools I put together for my mother. That way, if I'm not around and it's something easy, she doesn't have to dig through all that junk to find a singular screwdriver or a hammer or something. Just some rolls of tape. Probably the first tool I ever remember using was this screwdriver here. Phillips, I don't know, probably like a Phillips 1. It's so chewed up, pretty stripped out, but still works. She still has it. And yeah, I'll never forget this red and black handle. This is probably one of the first tools that I ever used. Looking through here, got the mag light. My dad, I remember when he bought this, it kind of works, batteries are starting to go dead, but he had a whole bunch of them old plastic, D battery, Duracell junk flashlights that you get for probably $1, maybe $2 back in, and he wanted a good made America flashlight that would last around the house if power went out and stuff. So he bought this at Lowe's. It was like 20 or 30 bucks, I think. But yeah, we still have it. It works. I have since switched to better rechargeable options, but yeah, this thing will probably never die. This is an LED mag light too. It's not one of the ones with the light bulb. This hammer, I don't remember if this was his hammer or if I went and stole this off my grandfather back in the day, but it ended up here. Yeah, ball peen, old hickory handle, probably stand the test of time. I don't even know what brand it is. I think it's stamped Standard, so if you know anything about the Standard tool company. This is an Ollie's hammer. I lost or broke the good hammer, so yeah, I bought this for $1 and gifted it to my mother. And again, I think I found a good hammer not too long after. So. But this one has stayed here. Put that in here. There's just a mix of 10,000 random clear-handled screwdrivers in Phillips and flatheads. Some of these were my dad's, and again, some of these I went out and found for my mother. I think when I was working, refinishing furniture and moving furniture and cleaning up old tools. I got these for free because no one bought them, so I gifted them to her. Then there's some other random stuff in here, but probably the coolest thing is this is a real legitimate original vice grip. I don't know if you can read it, but it says on there, vice grip, Peterson, from DeWitt, Nebraska, Peterson Manufacturing Company. Old school vice grip, the real deal, not just another set of locking pliers. And yeah, there's some other random odds and ends in here. These might be cool. These are just your standard slip joint pliers, but these are from, it says Barcalo, Buffalo, USA. So those are cool. One when I first started getting into doing legitimate stuff, it was the stuff in here that were the first sets of tools I really used. This here socket set, as you could read, 3/8, 1/4 inch, Sears Craftsman up in the corner. I don't know how well you could read that, but to this day, this is still a pretty good set here. It's missing the extension, but I remember learning how to work on stuff using these, and these ratchets still feel pretty good. Yeah, all the sockets are still here. Spark plug socket's still in there. Only thing, it's missing the extension, but other than that, my dad had this set here, and then he also had the matching metric Sears Craftsman set. And history goes, he would keep the SAE set at home, and he used to carry this set in the car. But other than that, they're more or less the same set. The only downside of these is the 1/4 inch sockets are all 6-point, but all the 3/8 sockets are 12-point. So that's why I don't really use these for anything anymore. It's almost worth it more to me to keep these in the blow molded cases and just keep them to have them than it would be actually do with anything. Same as sockets. I still have the wrench set, and he kept it in this container all these years. I still have it. Didn't lose all the sizes. They're still here. These are swapped around, but other than that, I still have this. Again, he kept the SAE one to home. And then here's a metric set. Now the metric set were just in the bottom of his toolbox that he kept in his car. I'll show you that. It's been reorganized, but I still have the box. The reason why these are in this organizer is I did take them to Honda for a short amount of time. These are all original USA Craftsman, except for he has this 1 gear wrench, 8mm ratcheting wrench. And then this 22 I bought at Lowe's because I needed a 22 for something I was doing at Honda. I retired these from using at Honda. They still work great, but I just wanted a different set of wrenches, so I brought these back, keep them safe, because yeah, you can't warranty these anymore. Not that I think you need to. They probably last forever. Moving on. This is one of my dad's favorite sets of tools. He tried to use this whenever he could. This is a ratcheting screwdriver, bit driver here. As you can see, it ratchets. And then you got all your bits and sockets. I have another version of this same set in a different toolbox. But he used this on a lot of stuff. Tighten up chair legs or whatever. But yeah, I still have it. Brand on this, who knows? But it's Taiwanese, so it's a little bit older. It's not the junk. Moving on. It's hot out here, so it's time for the sponsored, not sponsored drink segment of the day with Gatorade Midnight Ice. I read online that it's blackberry. If you look, I did a short on it the other day. Good stuff. Moving on with tools. Before I go through and show you what's in here, this toolbox was the one he carried in the back of all his Oldsmobiles and all his Buicks and his final Chevy that I bought. But yeah, whenever I did it, I got a different toolbox, took us down a basement, and then just organized tools in here to do something different. But in this box, there's not too much going on. Got these putty knives in here. I specifically remember him using these whenever we had to break out the plaster of Paris or spackling when he would fix a ceiling or when he retiled the bathroom floor after it fell through. But yeah, I still have these. If I come and do some work, either for my mother or whoever else, I go and I get these and use them. I have a couple in my apartment too that I've acquired, but these are good ones. Made in the USA. It's Hyde. If you know anything about that, Hyde's a good brand for putty knives and stuff. I think this little hammer came out of a set of tools that I had. While I have it, let me get this other piece out. People will, I don't know, someone might remember this. I don't know who all watches this channel that actually knows me. But there's stories that go around of a time when I used to run around my grandmother's neighborhood as a kid with an old metal toolbox, or actually it was a lunchbox. And yeah, my grandmother, there was a flea market in the neighborhood, and she took me there, and she was like, pick out a couple things. And even at the age of probably, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, whatever, I don't remember, 8, I picked tools. Well, it was old people flea market, so they didn't have like toys there. But I got this saw, this little baby hacksaw pistol grip thing here, and I think I got this hammer. And I carried that stuff around the neighborhood for years on the back of my bike and on the scooter, predestined to play with tools for the rest of my life. But yeah, if you're watching this video and you actually know me and you've heard that story, this one's for you, I guess. But anyway, these weren't my dad's tools, these were mine. They got mixed in with this stuff because I don't have any use for it doing what I'm doing today. Other than that, this was one of mine too, this little hammer. I remember I got this hammer and my dad was like, what are you using that for? He's like, you know, the laws of physics or whatever are against you when you're using this, because you want to grip the hammer far down on the shaft, and then you have more, you know, you have more leverage to work with, versus this, you're gonna miss and hit a finger. My grandmother always told the story because you know, I attribute my, you know, use of tools to my grandfather and my father. And when I went to my grandmother's house, basically my grandfather was like, here's a piece of wood, here's a bucket of nails, take the hammer out in the driveway with a bucket of nails and learn how to hit nails straight. And then that's what I did. And I busted I didn't break a finger, but I hit my finger, and you know, I busted a blood vessel, and it was all purple. And I came into my grandmother, and I was like, oh, and to this day, she still remembers that story. She's in her late 80s, but she remembers when I beat my finger with the hammer. And now, you know, since I work in mechanics and get cut and messed up every day because I'm stubborn and refuse to wear gloves, yeah, it all started back then when I was probably like 5 years old, banging nails with a hammer in the driveway at my grandparents' house. Probably with this hammer, but then again, my dad, my grandfather were like, don't use that, and they gave me the full-size hammer, and we've progressed from there. So these tools, again, weren't my dad's. I remember these say West Germany, but they don't have any other name on them. Pretty cool pair of pliers though. You got your wire strippers in here, obviously, teeth, and then teeth in the jaws, slip joint. Don't know what company made them, but West German, so that shows you how old they are. A lot of my stuff, I think my dad might have gotten at flea markets and different sales. I think it was one of the VFWs around here, or maybe an American Legion, used to have a tool sale every year or every couple years. I know my dad got a whole bunch of them danger triangles for the back of the car and some road flares and stuff from there, but I think he might have got maybe some tools out of there too. Here's an old, made in the USA crescent wrench, Jamestown, New York. So that shows you how old this thing is, but obviously it still feels great, and there's very little play in the teeth. So really I should be using these instead of the junk ones I have. But here's not such a nice one, but this is OG Pittsburgh Tools. I don't know if you could read that, but this is the old Pittsburgh logo from Harbor Freight. I remember the first time I ever went in one of those Harbor Freights, it was with my dad. And this is back in the early 2000s when they were still doing the, you know, I don't even think you had to buy anything. I think you just cut a coupon out and showed up and they gave you free stuff. I remember a couple times he got the multimeters. They'd blow up after one use, but he had them, he got them, used them the one time. The tarps, he would go and get the tarps out of there. He'd cover the grill and a snowblower and stuff with the tarps from the Harbor Freight. And just stuff like that. And I remember going there with him. He would buy the magnets and stuff, but yeah, that was back when, you know, now there's a couple different ones. There was only one Harbor Freight back then. It was down in the Southland Plaza, down in, I guess that's Pleasant Hills. I think it's still considered. I remember sometimes we would go to that Harbor Freight, go eat at the Wendy's there. That's not there anymore now. It's a Chase Bank. And then go behind the Panera Bread to what was called Southland 9 movie theater. It was a Carmike Cinemas. It was a Carmike Cinemas, Southland 9. Old, slant floor cinema, not stadium seats or any of that other stuff. But I remember seeing a lot of the old movies there that I remember from my childhood. We would go watch there. Very rarely would we go to the nicer one near South Hills Village Mall. That used to be Carmike too. Now it's an AMC. We would also go up the hill and watch movies at the Penny Saver Cinema. They were movies that had run out at the other ones. So if you could wait a couple months to see them, you could watch them for like half price. That movie theater is now the only one down that way, and it's called the Century Square Luxury Cinema. And I still go there frequently. Me and a couple buddies of mine went and watched Twisters there the other night. Good movie. Anyway, the only thing down there that's still the same is that Harbor Freight. A lot of the other restaurants are gone that were down there back in the day. The McDonald's is still there, but nearly everything else is gone. I think there was a Burger King down there. There was a Quaker Steak that was down there. There was a Subway down there. There's different stuff down there. All gone. But the Harbor Freight's still there, and I still go there occasionally. If I remember correctly, this multimeter does not work anymore, and it's one of the reasons why my dad went to the Harbor Freight back in the day to claim his free Centec multimeter. But this is cool, because if you could read the box, it's a Radio Shack. So I'll open this up and take a look at it. I don't know if it still works. It says in here lifetime warranty, but well, as you guys know, Radio Shack is long gone. I remember where it was. We went to the one, it was in Bell Vernon, or actually Rostraver. It was right in there next to the Italian Village Pizza, which if you're watching this from the Mon Valley, I don't care which one you go to. I personally like the one in Mon City, Monongahela. But you can go to Bell Vernon, one that's owned by the same people, or you can go to the one, there's one somewhere down along, Route 18. There might be a different, Route 46. Heading towards Boston and McKeesport. There's one up over the hill, Old Clareton Road, I think, down Pleasant Hills or Jefferson Hills. There's one heading into Pittsburgh or Brentwood, but I don't care where it is. Domino's, Pizza Hut, Bocelli, none of that. Italian Village Pizza is the best pizza. The first time I ever ate it was in the Century 3 Mall. They're tearing it down right now. Nice Wonger construction. Tearing it down as we speak. But Italian Village Pizza, it's the best pizza in Mon City. There's like 10 pizza places. That's exaggeration. There's not that many, but there's quite a few pizza places in Mon City. We got family places. We got a Domino's. We got a Fox's. Nothing beats Italian Village, and I'll put my life on it. Please sponsor me, Italian Village Pizza. Anyway, the Radio Shack was next there. It's a T-Mobile now. I remember going in there. I bought power adapters in there myself as a kid to power my keyboards, piano keyboards. But my dad would go and get all his electrical stuff, fuses, resistors, all that stuff, to solder stuff back together, because he was into electrical stuff too. But Radio Shack, great store, back when people used to fix and service all their own stuff. This is an old school chalk line from the Irwin company. It's still here. It still works. I remember my dad using this to set the concrete pavers on the side of the house. They were getting loose, so he pulled them up, bought the play sand, and reset the pavers. And I remember we use this to keep it straight. And he still has in here too the original bottle of Straight Line Mark and Chalk by Irwin, branded. This bottle is probably older than me. I'm 22. There's no date on here, but I almost guarantee you this. I wouldn't be surprised this bottle was from the late, maybe even early '90s. And this, this plumb bob, chalk mark, and reel here too. It's made in USA, got a patent number on it. I bet this thing might be twice as old as the bottle. I don't know, but I remember these are all stuff he used because he bought everything he ever needed to use, and he didn't buy a whole lot of anything he didn't need because, well, that costs money. How many people know what this is? If you've ever worked with a screen door, you might remember this tool. But this tool here, there's that little rubber strip in the screen door to hold the screen in. This is what you use to put the screen back down. So he used to rescreen his own screen doors too. Went down to the family-owned hardware store down in town. And he would buy his own screen. They would cut it to fit, and he would put it in a door himself. And then he would get them a little bit big, I think, and then trim the edges off the screen door. And then the final thing in here worth sharing with you guys, I think. If you know anything about plumbing, you'll know what this is. This is what they call, I believe, a basin wrench. And this is so you can get in and tighten those connections up underneath on the backside of like a sink or a toilet where you can't get in there and you can't really see what you're doing. It's spring loaded, it locks around a fastener, and you turn it out. And the thing is, this thing looks old. I'm pretty sure what happened was we needed this and didn't have it. He went and took this off my grandfather. I don't remember if my grandfather was still alive at the time or not, but I'm pretty sure he borrowed this and never took it back. So it's mine now. If I ever got to fix it, the toilet or a sink. There's some interesting stuff in here. Some of his tools were his, and other stuff I think he inherited. Not even inherited, but he might have borrowed from his dad. And some of the other stuff, his grandmother, my grandmother's mother, her husband passed away. She had a boyfriend by the name of George who also collected tools and stuff. Some of these tools I think may have been George's tools when he passed away. But there's a knife sharpening stone. It says Norton. I don't know if anyone knows anything about that. Got old tape measure, H.K. Porter Company. That's really nifty. Only a single-sided tape measure. Not an auto leveler. I almost want to take this thing to work and see if it does anything anymore. But this is supposed to be an old school antifreeze tester. You suck in the antifreeze, and depending on the floating balls, it's supposed to tell you what degree your engine is protected with the antifreeze. So, obviously, if your antifreeze isn't any good and there's too many balls or whatever, it's time to get some new coolant in your engine. That's cool. There's not a name on here, and I probably was dirt cheap back in the day at the service station or whatever, but I almost want to try it out and see. Got some old pliers here. None of these have any company names on them, but they all say things like drop forged, and they say different stuff. This one I think says P&C. I don't know if anyone knows what that means. But the one thing they don't say is China, Taiwan, or chrome vanadium. So whatever these were, they were made a little bit better back in the day. These are nice. Set up Bonnie side cutters or dikes or whatever you guys like to call them. Made in the USA. These feel nice. And they're not all stripped out either. So maybe these ones need to stay out of the bottom of that box. I want to know what the point of this one was, but it says Carstairs Whiskey and Wolf Schmidt Vodka. So that was definitely free with something. I don't know. These, I think at one point, were like washers for a hose, but they're almost so hard and dried out that they may as well be rubber, or should I say wooden nickels or something. So, but I'll leave them in there for posterity. I'm not taking them out. How many people remember Busy Beaver? There's still a couple of them out there, I know, but I've never been to one. My dad never went to one, so where do you get the Busy Beaver pencil from that's never been cut down? This last set of stuff here, I don't know too much about, but I don't know where he would have got this. It's pretty cool. Price was $12.99. Cobra Industrial. It's Taiwanese stuff and it's missing a couple, but I thought this was cool. Just your old school clear handle nut drivers. Never saw him use these. I've never used them. This is stuff that was towards the back of that cabinet. There's not a lot to talk about when talking about a hacksaw, but yeah, I have memories using this. We have various wood saws. Some of them both taken to the shop and, under the workbench in the basement, but 9 times out of 10, wood, metal, plastic, whatever. I don't know why. I always went for this. Great neck, number 50, made in the USA. Pretty basic, but yeah, old school hacksaw. I bet a lot of guys, you go into your dad's basement, or maybe you've inherited them, grandpa, whoever, and they probably have a very similar hacksaw. I've seen the same exact hacksaw branded, I think, as Craftsman, but the handle's red. So I don't know if there was some thing going on there. It's an old pipe wrench. This here says Walworth. Apparently, either my dad bought it for $5, or I think sometime in the 90s, before I was born, there was a flea market, and they tried to sell some of this stuff off that he knew he wasn't going to use, but at the same time he might have bought this, so I don't know. They could do some lubrication, but here's another one. This one's nowhere near as nice. Actually, no. Here's something we could talk about. How many people watching this video, it depends how old you are. If you're my age, I only know about it because, I'm cultured. If you grew up, watching cable and now you have a degree in like oceanography or something, you probably have never heard of Montgomery Ward. But if you're in your 40s, 50s, 60s or whatever, or you're in your 20s or 30s and you're cultured, you'll remember Montgomery Wards. And apparently this here, it's branded Lakeside, but if you say it says Ward's Quality. So I'm pretty sure that my dad, his dad, my mom's dad, or maybe George went and bought this at the Montgomery Ward store. Fun fact, my mother's refrigerator is probably about 30-something, 35 years old now. Montgomery Ward, Admiral, still works. Try to say that about your Samsung. And the last thing here, well, first of all, Zircon stud finder. Oh man, it lit up. That's cool. I don't know why they have a socket on the end of this Allen wrench, but that's kind of useful. I have to wonder if my dad didn't cook that up, or if maybe it was just some kind of storage plan. I don't know, but it works. Anyway, this got broke. There's no brand on these, but they say forged select steel, and somebody gave her too many onions and snapped the head off this one, 13/16. But there's not a whole set of these. There's only, these aren't even the same brand. This one here is a McCaig Hatch Incorporated. Anyone on the internet watching this know anything about McKay hatch. I don't. But I have the wrench. And then I don't know why these ever went out of favor. In fact, I think I saw either Matco or Snap-on selling a set of these for $300 or $400, which is ridiculous. But wrench on one side, socket on the other. Imagine having a 10 millimeter one of these. You could tear half of a car apart. You get a 10, a 12, a 15, and a 17, and probably just rip half of a car apart if you had this set of wrenches with a wrench on one side and a socket on the other. These are really cool. I might have to go buy a set on it. I'm kind of getting it, but here's another one. But to me, for whatever reason, not with 12 point though. I hate 12 point. There's a time and a place for 12 point, and 99% of the stuff I do is not the time or the place. If you know what you're doing, in a pinch, 12 point can help you. If you don't know what you're doing, you could really screw the pooch using 12 point. But I might have to buy a set of these in metric or something, because these are really cool. The wrenches with the socket on them. There's also in here one of these. Again, drop forged, no name. Made in the USA though, so that's flex over the Taiwan. But old school double box end or double open end with a little bit of a, you know, she got a little bit of a degree on her there. And also, look at this old packaging here. These are Allen wrenches, but these are actually Allen wrenches. Like, not just because they're called Allen wrenches. It's going to be hard to see, but you could read this. I don't know if you can, but this package actually says Allen Handy Frack or Handy Pack Allen Key Kit, and it has a model number that's written off, but it says the Allen Manufacturing Company. So this set of Allen keys in here, and if you can see, it's actually stamped 3/8 Allen. These are actually Allen keys. I don't know that I've ever seen a set of these, because obviously they're nowadays, if people call them hex keys, but there was a legitimate Allen Manufacturing Company. And these were a set of those, the real deal. The last thing in the set, and here's another set of vice grips. These are Craftsman's, not quite as good as those ones I showed you earlier that were actual vice grips. But these here, these are Craftsman's, made in the USA. I might have to steal these because I broke my set out in the shop. But they're pretty cool. But the last thing I want to show you guys here, I was wondering what was in this old Foodland bag. Didn't make a whole lot of sense until I started to look. This stuff here is all my dad's old drafting stuff. Like I said, he was an engineer, and one of the engineering requirements was doing drafting. For instance, here's a square. I don't know if you can read this, but it says Pennsylvania State University Copy Center. He's had this since the 70s when he went to Penn State. And he went to main campus at State College. He took me there. It was one of my favorite trips. We went there twice, once for a wedding, and once when I was in middle school. I did a science competition out there where I forget if that was the year I tested the effect of mold on poinsettias, or if it was the year I tested the effect of cleaning pennies. But we went out there, and he still has the Penn State square for squaring up maps, doing drafting. Also, let's see, got a couple protractors that look like they're missing the center section. a lot of stuff in here that people wouldn't really know what it is or what to do with, and there's a lot of stuff that I don't even really know what it is, but my dad's compasses for drawing. And, you know, in college it would have been for mining, probably topography maps and stuff, maybe some general engineering. But I would have to assume that he might have used some of this. He actually drew up a lot of blueprints later in his career, not only for work, but also for designing stuff around the house. So, yeah, these are actual Stadler, you know, probably worth some money. So I'm definitely not going to throw away all this drafting stuff. I just think it's funny he stole Penn State Square out of their copy center. So, hey Penn State, if you're watching this, if you want your marking square back from the 70s, I have it. Other than that, that's about the end of everything that I have to show you. He did have a Black & Decker, you know, circular saw and a skill saw, jigsaw. But I didn't feel like lugging that stuff out of the basement. Other than that, I broke his power tools years ago and then went out and replaced them. And, well, I still have them. I switched from DeWalt to Milwaukee. Milwaukee better. Milwaukee always better than DeWalt. Team Red in the automotive industry. And other than that, like I said, there's some stuff that I've taken to work. There's some stuff that's ended up in my collection in my apartment. There's some stuff I took to the shop, but that's the main stuff. Those socket sets, those wrenches, those screwdrivers, the hammers, all that stuff are the stuff I grew up using as a kid. So, yeah. It's cool that I still have it. And yeah, I'd like to incorporate it into my own stuff someday. But that's the end of that stuff. Let's finish this video off, guys. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed looking at some vintage Craftsman and Stanley and, you know, just different vintage tools from the 60s and 70s and maybe even earlier or later or whatever. I'm never getting rid of them. I don't have anywhere to put them now. I would love to someday take that stuff, get an old Craftsman, you know, toolbox or something like that, maybe an old, you know, Kennedy box or something, and lay that stuff out and keep it and, you know, just have it somewhere in my shop someday. If I ever have a nice shop, not the old crusty shed or not my apartment, and definitely not at the auto dealer, but someday I'd like to do that stuff justice, get it laid out. But I'm never getting rid of it, and maybe I'll teach my kids to use it someday if we ever get there. Anyway, that'll do it for this episode of the Mike Falappi YouTube channel. Like I said, it's August right now. Coming into the next couple months, it's going to start getting cooler. I want to try to start getting back into more abandoned stuff. As the foliage dies, I'd like to do more projects. There's still stuff I'd like to do to my truck. There's still, you know, tool stuff that I want to do. Coming up here soon, I want to talk about my 2 years working for Honda. And just a lot of cool videos. So if you're not subscribed, subscribe to the channel. There's always cool stuff coming out. You never know what you're going to find. So if you're interested in anything I'm doing, subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out. Like the video. Doesn't cost you anything. And leave a comment and tell me what you want to see. We'll try to get it done for you. Anyway, thanks for watching this video. And we will see you next time here on the Mike Falappi YouTube channel. Thanks, guys.